This is coming from ESPN, and this actually broke actually a little bit before the show started today. This was being reported by Dan Hedjuki, who's a reporter slash researcher. Apologies for the name mispronunciation. We're going to read just a little bit about this, and then we're just going to get into this topic. Those of you in the Rogues Gallery, we want to know what you think about this because this is crazy. So the headline says Fanatics strikes deal to become exclusive licensee for Major League Baseball cards. All right. It says memorabilia Leviathan Fanatics, continuing its push into the collecting space, has cemented a deal with Major League Baseball and the MLB Players Association for the exclusive licenses to produce baseball cards.
Wow.
According to memo from MLBPA obtained by ESPN, a Fanatics founded company that has yet to be named will be the exclusive licensee in the baseball card category after Panini and Topps licenses with the MLBPA expires at the end of 2022. The deal also includes the National Basketball Players Association and the NFL Players Association, who, along with the MLBPA, will have equity in this new venture, as will MLB and the NBA, according to a report in the Wall Street Journal. That's probably your article, Eric. The distinction between rights with players' unions and our league are noticeable. For example, Panini, which has the MLBPA license but no MLB license, produces baseball cards but isn't allowed to show MLB team logos.
Huh.
Topps, which has deals with the MLB and MLBPA, currently produces baseball cards with players' images and the MLB team logos. MLB's deal with Topps was extended in 2018 and runs through 2025. Topps has been the exclusive licensee for Major League Baseball-backed baseball cards since 2009. It was also only recently announced that Fanatics-backed Candy Digital has the exclusive MLB NFT rights. Now, here's the big one.
Wow.
I have been
huge.
watching the Topps move because there was that, was it the spec, whatever the heck it's called, move where Topps was going to eventually become a public company tradable as a stock. And so I had been watching for when Topps was going to go live because I thought that would be an interesting investment in play, for me to invest money in, because I thought, well, Topps being able to sell NFTs of those famous baseball players and specifically their famous baseball cards, like the Mickey Mantle card and whatever, I was like, that's really interesting to me. I want to be a part of that. So I literally have money setting aside that's been waiting for Topps to go public. There's no point now.
Right.
There's no point now because basically what this is telling us is this Fanatics group company, whatever the heck it is, I'd never heard of them before today. Basically, this is one of several articles that I've read that basically almost makes it sound like this Fanatic company owns everything sports related. And then it gets weird because there was a lot of speculation and talk about, well, what does this mean for Star Wars? Because Topps has been publishing Star Wars trading cards like forever. And it's just, and one of the few things that's still sitting out there that they haven't gobbled up. There's a few, I think a couple of the soccer leagues and NASCAR, and one of the other ones was hockey. And hockey is actually published by Upper Deck, I believe. And it's just sort of like, well, how is this going to change the trading card dynamic overall? If all of a sudden your two biggest player like Topps and whatever, if they can't really do baseball cards or trading cards of their sports players, and it, like I said, this bleeds over into other things. This is going to impact what's happening with the Topps Star Wars. I just thought this was crazy. And there's been a lot of speculation about what's going on. But what do you think about this, Eric?
Well, we had talked about this previously. I think we had talked about Topps and we were interested in the non fungible tokens, the NFTs, and we thought that was kind of an exciting thing and a way to get into that, without having to get into it. We talked about Funko as another one. It's a way to get into that without necessarily directly doing an NFT. Because I'll be honest, I think NFTs are kind of stupid, but if I can make money at it, I can make money at it, and that's all I care about, right? So, if you want to give me your money, give me your money. You know what I mean? But I thought it was exciting because you just never know. I mean, we've seen what's happened with cryptocurrency, right? I mean, you could have made a lot of money. Could have lost a lot of money too, right? I mean, people have lost a lot of money in crypto, but you could have made a lot of money. And I thought Topps was like a soft way to get into this. And now I'm like, I think Topps is going to die. I think Topps is dead. I think they're gone. I mean, it's a dead man walking at this point, Gap Stargate says, oh, hell no exclusive. There goes creativity and variety. Topps was also working with Mego. I did not know they were working with Mego. That's interesting. I actually saw the Mego booth at the event formerly known as Star Trek Vegas. That's what I like to call it since they lost the license. Another person lost the license, Creation Entertainment. They lost the license to Star Trek. So, yeah, it's crazy what's going on. I literally think we could be seeing the end of Topps. Lynn Workman says, Fanatics does a lot of sports merch. See their commercials constantly during NHL games, National Hockey League. Says Nikki has been collecting women's soccer cards by Parkside, and she has gotten a couple autograph cards. So that's interesting. So you're saying as far as NHL, Fanatics already does that. And then as far as soccer, it looks like Parkside is doing some of that stuff. Because I know that soccer to me seems like that's going to be an emerging market, you know what I mean, as far as trading cards, because the sport is incredibly popular internationally and continues to gain popularity in the United States. Like we have a minor league soccer team in the Phoenix area called Phoenix Rising, and I know they want to be major league. Like that's the idea. They eventually want to be major league soccer. So I think that's going to be a continuing area to grow. But I don't know what Topps is going to do. Gap says it's going to ruin the trading cards world. And I don't know. I mean, Topps has been around forever, and I thought that they were doing big things. I thought they were poised to do some big things. Now I feel like they're poised for collapse unless they figure something out.
There was some speculation by different people on a couple different YouTube shows and stuff and whatever I listened to. And I heard some people kind of speculating that they could almost see that this is kind of like a power play to kind of eventually buy Topps. You take the legs out from under the company, and then you come in after they've basically been devalued because you took away their major asset, and then you get the rest of the company for pennies of the dollar. I mean, to me, it almost sounds...
And really, you're just buying the name. That's all Fanatics needs, because if Fanatics makes their own cards anyway, all they really want is the Topps name. It's like, what was the Chris Farley movie? Do you know what I'm talking about? Really good movie.
I was almost thinking just like
Tommy Boy.
Yeah.
Where basically Dan Aykroyd's character just basically wants to take the product that Chris Farley's father had made. He made auto parts, and he basically just wanted the name. And because he could produce the part himself. He was going to close down the actual factory, right? And just, keep the box. You know what I mean? That was all he wanted, was the box and the name, because the name stood for quality. But of course he was going to make it in his own factory. So that, you know what I mean? That's the way they think. That's I just want to throw that out there. I feel like that's the way corporate America thinks. They don't care about the actual company and how they make things or produce things. They're going to do it their own way, right? So
right, and the way I was thinking of it is like when you go and you buy like one of these vintage Star Wars figures, right? Like it has the Kenner logo on there, but Kenner technically doesn't exist anymore. I would imagine eventually it's going to be like that. You can still buy a Topps card, but the company that once was Topps,
the Marvel Legends line
anymore.
The Marvel Legends line that I promote all the time is the Kenner Marvel Legends line. It's almost like, I call it like a what if toy. I've got some around here somewhere. It's like, it has the Kenner logo on it, but it's made by Hasbro. They're just using the name because Kenner doesn't exist. It's a great analogy. And Gap had a link. if anybody's interested, I actually do want to check this out. www.tots.com/Migo. So this is a press release because I didn't hear about this. So I would be interested to see what the deal is that Top has with Migo. That's an interesting deal. A trading card company with a toy company. That's interesting, especially considering that Migo, for the most part, what I see of Migo today, it's all licensed stuff. So that's interesting. I want to check that out. I definitely want to check that out. That might be a good topic of conversation for a future Collector's Corner.
Well, and it would be interesting to talk about it now too, in light of this news. Like, what is? I mean, I really am kind of dumbstruck by what exactly does this even mean. I mean,
Yeah,
and the ramifications for this are so huge. I mean, just imagine if you own a sports card shop and you sell sports cards, like that's what you do. I
yeah.
mean, and then you read this. What the hell? Like, I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's just it's far reaching, and I feel like the effects are going to be felt for a very long time. And uh, it's weird because too, I feel like only the last few years I've been noticing a lot more attention in the sports card market, and it felt like that trading cards as a whole was beginning to come back into the public consciousness, and people are starting to talk and think about them more in the general public, not among those of us who are diehard fans or whatever. I'm not going to use the term fanatics right now, but those of us that were already into this stuff, yeah, But I've heard, more civilians. Some people call them normies or normal people, but I call them civilians. I've heard more civilians talking about it lately.
Casual fans. I also like that
There you
term.
go.
Just the
Yeah, yeah,
casual fan.
casual fans.
So
Yeah. And so to me, it's weird because it reminds me of, back in the day when there was so much heat and attention and interest in the comic book industry at one point, back in the mid to late 90s. And then Marvel came in and then bought one of the distributors and, was trying to consolidate everything they did under one roof. The only thing they didn't have at that time was a distributor because they bought the company that was making their trading cards. They bought the company that was making their action figures. They bought the printing company that was printing their books. Like, they've been consolidating everything to the point that the only thing they didn't have was their own distributor. And then they went out and then they bought, I think it was Heroes World. They went out and bought their own distributor too. And that move almost destroyed the comic book industry in the wake of everything that came afterwards. So that's what I was thinking of. Was like, geez Louise, what does this mean to the guy who has the sports card shop where he sells sports cards? What the hell does this mean for that guy, or lady for that matter?
It might be like what I said about comic book stores. No more new stuff. Just focus on the old stuff. I mean, I really feel like for a lot of comic book stores, that's the only way they're going to survive. I've already seen that trend locally. In fact, I know someone that has a shop like that. He does not sell anything new. Nothing. He does not deal with Diamond or whatever DC does now. And of course, Marvel's doing something else now. So there's now at least, 3 distributors out there, assuming you're not doing like the newsprint type stuff, which I think that's pretty much dead. Nobody really gets comics that way anymore. The old newsstand, the newsstand subscription, the returnables, when you actually could return the books. I think that's completely dead. But there's probably a few books that still do that. But it's like, there are these other avenues, but a lot of people, they're done. They're not going to do new books anymore, and that might be something that happens with trading cards. We'll just have to see. Lynn had an interesting perspective working at Topps. He said, I had a hard time getting paid by Topps back when I was doing Star Wars cards. It says he wouldn't be surprised at all if Fanatics is buying out Topps. That's from somebody that actually did some work for Topps. That's a really interesting perspective, and I appreciate that. So, yeah, who knows? I mean, who knows where this is going to go? And Gap makes the great point that I think we want to be asking on this show is, what does that mean for non-sports trading cards? Ultimately, that's what this show is ultimately asking the question as well. Is like, what does this mean for non-sports trading cards? Absolutely.
Now, I will say along those lines, because I am quite the trading card fan myself, and I am starting to get back into doing actually trading cards too. So eventually, hopefully, some people better go to Kirby Tees and actually buy trading cards, because I am starting to produce trading cards at Kirby Tees that'll actually go along with the T-shirts and stuff. So I will be eventually doing that over at Kirby Tees. But
And
it's
it's a
interesting.
good looking card, by the way. I really like that.
Oh, thanks. I'm still messing with the shirt because I still don't like how it came out, and it's so weird because I feel like I need to ink it traditionally. Yeah, I feel
There
like
we
I
go.
need to ink it
In case you couldn't see it,
traditionally.
folks.
Yeah, sorry. I feel like I need to ink it traditionally and then recolor it and then reseparate it, and I'm gonna print it again and see if I can get it to look better. So
Gap digs it. He says that's cool, Dave, because I think that's the first time Gap
thanks.
has seen that card. So, yeah, I like it a lot. He says I'd buy one. So there
Yeah,
you
well, I
go.
appreciate that. But yeah, I'm working on a project that will actually go along with the cards and the shirts, and we should hopefully be saying more about that down the road. But yeah, what does this mean for the non-sports card market and those shops that sell the non-sports? I don't know. It's it and like I said, it has so much implications. Whether you want to talk about the card shop owner, whether you want to talk about the people that are working for the company, whether you want to talk about the people who go to the conventions and the sports card shows that are selling and dealing in these things, and maybe it's a side income or it's just their hobby that they love. And then you turn around and when you talk about like the even like the speculators and people that want to invest in the market, like I had money sitting aside for when Tops went public.
Right,
There's no reason to do that now,
right.
and that's the thing. It's like this has got huge far-reaching implications. And what kills me about this too, I didn't hear anything about this at all until it broke. It's like it just
Yeah,
broke out of nowhere. There was no rumblings about it. I listen to a lot of business stuff and investor stuff like all day. Well, not all day, but most of the day when I'm still working here at the studio. Um, and I'm just like, did I miss something? Like,
right.
I
It feels
didn't
like
hear
it just
anything
came out of
about it.
nowhere. It
Yeah,
feels like it
it's
just came out of
crazy.
nowhere. Yeah, it's really interesting. It's really interesting what's going on right now, and I think it's going to have it's going to have effects that we can't predict. It's going to be sort of a spiral effect where things are going to happen, and it's going to be very hard to predict exactly what happens. But ultimately, I do feel like Tops is on the ropes and is probably going to be acquired because that's the brand name I think they want. You know what I mean? I think the name they have is confusing. I mean, I never heard of Fanatics before. You know what I mean? And I think of Fanatics as a fan, right? I don't think of it as a company.
Right.
So I could see them wanting to get that brand name.